Yo, what's up strategists? Welcome to the Bitcoin Strategy. In this video, I'll quickly explain reasons why you, as a Bitcoin miner and advocate, may want to consider moving over your support and your hash rate to another mining pool like Ocean to help in a bid to strengthen and restore mining decentralization on the Bitcoin network. Let's get into it. Now, the problem, mining pool centralization, as we can see here, this is from mempool.space. This is a graph to visualize how much control over the hash rate each miner has. As we can see here, we have Foundry USA with about 27%, Antpool with about 19%, and Via Bitcoin with about 13%. In total, the top three pools control about 90% of the hash rate. But if we look deeper into this other chart, this is from mainnet.observer. It's a great tool. As we can see here, Antpool and Friends control more hash rate than Foundry USA. Now you can think of Antpool and Friends as one giant mining pool, as they all use the same block template. It's comprised of Antpool and a bunch of smaller miners. But if we were to visualize it, this is a great website from this developer at Boerst on X. Go check out his stuff. This is a really great tool. As we can see here, if we look at Brains, Clover Pool, Binance Pool, Poolin, Utimus, and BTC Squared Network, notice how all of this is the same color, column after column, row after row. Now, if we look at this, we can even find more examples of this occurring with pools like Via Bitcoin and Trust Pool, same colors here. We can go down to right here, SBI Crypto and Lincoin, all the same colors. So with this tool, you can analyze similarities, see what mining pools are sharing the same block templates and how they can be similar. Now, the problem with a few miners controlling the majority of the hash rate is, one, they get to choose who mines on the network. Now, this could be KYC, checking if you're within a certain jurisdiction to kick out everyone else from other jurisdictions, or they can ask for any form of account registration. Back in the day, miners were able to mine directly from the Bitcoin Core software without having to create an account, without having to give up their ID, their personal information. Now, two, the big centralized miners can bypass filters and allow spam on the network. Now, we saw this a couple days ago with Mara Pool. As you can see here, this is one giant transaction taking up a full Bitcoin block. Now, this has arbitrary data in it, and this is definitely more than the standard limit of 83 bytes. Now, what happened here is whoever signed this transaction went out to Mara directly and submitted it to their node that doesn't have restrictions, and they were able to get past everyone's filters because Mara doesn't have these filters in place, because they're one big centralized miner that can do such a thing. And three, most importantly, the control these big centralized miners have. If you watch my last video on Bitcoin knots, mempool policy, and consensus rules, the link will be in the description, you'll know that miners can pick and choose what transactions go into their blocks. Now, this could be both a good and bad thing. In terms of gigantic centralized mining pools, this is a bad thing. Now, here's a great example. This is a press release from Mara, a big mining pool. I believe it controls about 11% of the Bitcoin hash rate. No, it controls about 7%. But this is a press release from Mara, headline: Marathon Digital Holdings becomes the first North American enterprise miner to produce fully AML and OFAC compliant Bitcoin. Now, the problem with OFAC compliance in a permissionless system is, say, let's look at history, an example in the past. When Russia attacked Ukraine, what did the US do? We sanctioned their bank accounts. We seized everything in their bank accounts. Their bank accounts were frozen. If we move over those characteristics of censorship over to Bitcoin, Bitcoin won't be what it was set out to be, all because one mining pool chose to go rogue. And that creates the same problems that the fiat world has introduced. Now, if we look at this block, this is the first block that Mara has OFAC compliantly mined. And a month later, after Mara released that they were going to force OFAC compliance on Bitcoin blocks, the Bitcoin community was loud, saying to turn it off. And what did they do? They turned it off less than a month later. One common misconception I want to clear up is that if a miner or a group of miners were to control over 50% of the network's hash rate, they cannot instantly perform a 51% attack. That's not how 51% attacks work. I don't know where this came from. However, if a malicious attacker were to ever try, keyword try, and execute attacks mostly attributed to 51% attacks, like reversing transactions, manipulating transactions, or double spending, they would have to rewrite or remine all blocks leading up to that point. So no, Charles Hoskinson, if a miner were to control over 50% of the hash rate, they cannot just magically launch a 51% attack.
Tell me, is there an expectation of return with the goddamn orange pill moon boys? It's there. There's so many different planks and angles that you can take a look at this thing from. And by the way, if you subpoena an attack about 3 different entities, you could perform a 51% attack on Bitcoin.
If y'all are interested in how these attacks really work, I'll be releasing a video in the future covering this topic, so stay tuned. Now the solution: decentralized alternative templates for universal mining. Datum, this is made by Ocean. This is their nice article. I would encourage y'all to read it yourselves, but I'm going to give you the general breakdown of what this article says. Now, in the early days, mining was a solo endeavor. Nodes acted as both miners and keepers of the ledger. The original Bitcoin software had a simple button labeled Get Bitcoin, which launched the process of mining directly on your computer. Finding a block would earn you 50 Bitcoin along with any transaction fees. However, as the network grew and the difficulty of mining increased, solo mining became less viable, leading to the birth of mining pools. The first pools like Slush, which is now Brains, and Eligius, I still don't know how to pronounce that, solved this problem by aggregating miners' hash rates, enabling more frequent and predictable payouts. However, a new problem emerged. Pools, not miners, began constructing the block templates. As we saw earlier on stratum.work, all these block templates are similar. That's a problem. Over time, this centralized control over the transaction selection process, concentrating power of the block templates, what transactions go through and what's allowed on the network, is in the hands of just a few large pools. Now, Ocean, the parent pool of Datum, exists to challenge this centralized mining landscape. Their mission is simple: to return control of block templates to miners, as it was intended in Satoshi's white paper. By doing so, Datum ensures that miners, not pools, decide what transactions that get added into the blockchain. Now, as we can see here, this is what's currently going on with Bitcoin mining. So you, as a miner over here, only provides the hash rate power and you have control over nothing else. Now, what the centralized pools have control of is the pool. They run the Bitcoin nodes, they build the local mempool, they choose what transactions they want to put in their blocks, and they design the block template. That's too much control. Now let's look at Datum. Ocean with Datum. What does the pool do? The pool only coordinates the payout split. And what does the miner control? They run the Bitcoin node, which is a good thing because the more Bitcoin nodes on the network enhances the security of the network. Now, the miner also builds their own mempool, so they get to choose what transactions go in their mempool, if they want to allow op return transactions or something like Taproot. If they don't want Taproot, they can get that out of there. They can design the block template and they provide the hash rate. So in short, mining with Datum on Ocean allows you to play your hand in decentralizing the Bitcoin network by creating your own block templates. We only have one shot to make this magic internet money thing work, so let's do it right. Don't get it centralized like current fiat systems. Not just with mining pools, but with implementations. Run Bitcoin knots, the miners itself. Buy yourself a BitX or anything other than an Ant miner. coins. Keep your hard money in a nice, ice cold storage vault and more like a cold card or a jade. Now mine smart, mine with Ocean, mine decentralized, keep Bitcoin decentralized, mine with Datum. Now if you enjoyed this content, feel free to like, comment, or even subscribe. It's very much appreciated. And as always, stay orange pilling, stack sats, and have a great rest of your day. The problem with censorship by the likes of something like OFAC on a permissionless global system like Bitcoin is that already powerful governments like the US and China can exert their already present fiat dominance over a system that's here to fix problems, being Bitcoin. If we look in history, when Russia attacked Ukraine, what did the US do? They sanctioned and seized, froze Russia's bank account. That's not what we want in Bitcoin.